Hello everybody, super excited for this live cast today. Thank you for being with me. I love doing these. I hope you can see that, and I'm so happy for you to be a part of it and be with us today. So a couple months ago, I decided to make a change in how I teach my students out how to find deals. While I still teach lots of ways of finding deals, my main focus is just one, and that strategy is simple, cheap, and easy to replicate. But what I want to talk about is the different ways that we can actually get 100% financing. Finding properties is really important. And getting the financing for those properties is even more important, and is the first stop in your real estate journey, is making sure you've got ways to find these or to fund these properties, not just find these properties. So 12 favorite ways to get 100% financing. That's what we're going to be talking about today. It's a couple of things we're going to cover. We're going to talk about OPM and help understand and break it down what that actually is. We're also going to go through how the pros use money to finance deals. Understanding the model and what they do is very interesting in helping us determine best ways to get low cash to close or no cash to close. My 12 favorite ways to get 100% financing is what we are going to talk about today. The question really starts off though, what is 100% financing and why is that so important? So if you put no money in a deal and you make a profit, how much is your return? The answer is infinite, okay? The answer is infinite because you don't have any money, so the return, you can't calculate it because it's everlasting and infinite, okay? So this idea with OPM is called other people's money. This allows you to leverage and get returns faster. The velocity of money, right? It allows you to do more deals. It allows you to get money turning faster. It allows you to not have your money at risk, and it allows you to get a great return if you have little to no money into a specific property. So your money can be working elsewhere or doing an investment elsewhere. It may get you into the game with less money. You might not have enough money to get into the game, and so having less money allows you to do that. That's why these 100% financing is such a big deal. Now, how do the big boys do it? I'm going to give you an example about big apartment complex, big deals, okay? And I'm sharing this not because you should go do this. I'm sharing this so that you can think differently and see different strategies and how they can apply to your specific situation. Now, when I say big boys, I'm talking $100 million net worth type guys. So let's say there's a $100 million apartment complex and it's under contract. I'm using 100,000 to make the numbers really easy for us. 100,000, $100 million apartment complex. So how do they make a deal like this happen? Well, the sponsors, the people who go and find this deal, they go and find somebody that will guarantee the loan. They get somebody that has $100 million net worth, and they get them to sign as a guarantor. And for doing that, they give them ownership just by simply signing and being part of it. Now, are they taking on risk? Oh yeah, they're taking on risk because they're signing for the loan, but it's a pretty low risk if you see how they structured this. This person gets equity for just simply signing on loan. The bank gives them a loan at about 80% or $80 million, which is why this credit partner, this guarantor at $80 million is probably in good shape, because before he's gonna be on the hook, this $100 million property would have to go down to $80 million for it even to touch how much he is guaranteeing for. Then what these big boys do is they raise the cash. They get another $20 million, and this is done with equity, not debt. Well, what is the difference? Well, debt has to be paid back no matter what. Debt has a certain interest rate attached to that, whereas equity, people are putting in money, and as it goes up, they get a portion of that, and if it doesn't go up, they are taking the risk on that. So what does a sponsor get out of doing this? Well, they typically get 30 to 50% ownership of the asset with little to no money of their own into it. The sponsor is typically paying for earnest money, due diligences, and there is some cost to this, but they typically get a finder's fee and a management fee that more than offsets any of those costs they have up front, and they end up owning 30 to 50% of this. 20 to 50 is probably the best way to say that, depending upon how many players there are, and that is the way that a sponsor is going to do a big deal with very little to none of their own money. So when we talk about, let's take this to ourselves. Let's talk about houses, and let's talk about how we can deal with the same thing. So the first question is 100% of what? Okay, that is the first question. 100% of what? If you got 100% of purchase, would that be 100% financing? If you got 100% of rehab and purchase, would that be 100% financing? If you got 100% of purchase, rehab, and closing costs, would that be 100% financing? If you get rehab, purchase, closing costs, and payments, would that be 100% financing? So if the purchase price is $100,000 and the rehab is 40, and the closing costs are 15, and the payments are 15, the total cost would be $170,000, okay? So a traditional lender would say, if you're buying it for $100,000 and you get $100,000, that would be 100% financing. Or if you got $140,000, the purchase and the rehab, you'd be getting 140% financing. Or if you get $170,000, you would be getting 170% financing. Well, we look at that and say, if we can get your purchase, rehab, and your payments all where we can cover 100% of that, that is amazing. And very few lenders can do this. And we are one of the proud, one of the few. All right, guys, so let's get into the 12 ways to get the 100% financing. So how can I unlock the power of making this happen? We've got 12 different ways, and we're going to dive into them. All right, way number one is getting a home equity loan. Values of properties have gone up significantly. Most financial institutions, credit unions like to do home equity lines of credit, and these are typically second position. Now, one of the cool things about a home equity line of credit is you don't have to pay on it unless you're using it. So you can go get a home equity line of credit, not use it for a year, and then end up pulling some money out to do a deal, then paying it back, paying some nominal interest along the way. So home equity lines are amazing. If you have equity in your home, you can tap into it. The line of credit are charged interest only when you're using the money. And if you're not using the money, you have no interest charge, which is great news that you can do money for repairs or marketing or anything you may think of. Now, my personal belief is I don't like to use debt for marketing expenses, but I am willing to use debt for an asset like buying a property. So that's how I look at those things myself. I like to use earned income to pay for marketing, and I'm okay using debt if I'm buying another asset, meaning good debt versus bad debt. Home equity loan. It is a low interest rate, so it can lower your total cost of capital. So let's say that you need $100,000 and you could get a line of credit for $30,000. Well, that line of credit is going to be a lot less expensive than a hard money lender because there's going to be origination fees, there's going to be interest that's going to be higher, those types of things. You see, the bank and the credit union, they're able to borrow that money at 1%, where you've got private investors and hard money lenders that can't borrow that money at 1%, and so it's significantly higher. So it lowers your overall cost. So if you got the loan for $70,000 instead of $100,000, you're only paying interest to the hard money lender on the $70,000, which is going to decrease the amount of interest you're paying overall, or accumulative interest that you're actually paying, because that $30,000 is going to be significantly lower, which what that does is your blended rate between the two of them becomes lower, which means there's more money in the deal for you. And you're just like, hey, Ryan, aren't you a lender? Well, yeah, I am. So then why are you telling me how to pay less money in these things? Because I want you to be successful, and I want you to do what's best for you, and I want you to find the secret sauce that's going to work so you can have success in real estate investing. So you can use 100% of the purchase price and 100% of the repairs. Now, this is the next one we're going to talk about, is a home equity line plus hard money. I've lumped this into number one, but if you do the hard equity, or you do the equity line and the hard money, I probably should say, if you have enough money and you can just use your equity line to buy the property, you should do that. Most people don't have that much. And if they don't, then they're going to use some of their equity line and some of the hard money, like the 70-30 example we talked about earlier, and making a combination. Do the hard money and your home equity, and it lowers your overall cost of funds. It's easier to do good deals rather than home run deals. So for a lender to do 100% of the purchase, the rehab, the closing costs, and the payments, it's got to be a really, really good deal. Now, you may run across a good deal that's not a really, really good deal. Well, if you have money on a home equity line that you can pull out, it will allow you to do some of these good deals that don't have to be super home run deals, and it will lower your overall cost, which means you will actually make more profit. So it's a great thing to be thinking about here, is using your home equity line. Now, what if you don't have a home equity line? Well, let's talk about a few more, which is why I have 12 of these, guys. One of these, or two or three, or maybe 5 of these are going to work for you. So number two, 401k, IRA, retirement, getting a loan from those. So most people don't realize this, but your IRA, retirements, you can typically take a loan out for a period of time, and then you have to pay it back with interest. But the cool thing is you're paying yourself the interest back. So that is really awesome. If you have any type of retirement account, you can borrow against it. You're just borrowing from yourself. You put money back into the retirement account. So you use those funds for the entire purchase, or you can use those funds just for the repairs. Now, for more information about this, you need to talk to your administrator and say you actually want to get a loan. Now, if you have some other 401ks or IRAs from previous employers, the next thing you want to be doing is self-directed. You can roll those over into self-directed. Now, if your employer doesn't allow this, then you're going to have to use it for other funds or start your own self-directed IRA. And there's a lot of ways to do that. I've got a few videos on it. You can check those out. Self-directed retirement is different than a loan. This is doing the deal in your retirement, meaning your retirement actually owns that property rather than you or your company owning that property. Your retirement account owns the deal. Your retirement account makes all the profit. Now, this is great for taxes, and you're not taxed on any of the money that goes in the retirement account. Now, keep in mind, if it's a Roth, you've already paid the taxes on it, and when you take it out, it's tax-free. If it is a traditional, you have not paid the taxes, you're not paying taxes on the gains, but as you take the money out, you'll be taxed at that income bracket. So there are some pros and some cons with both of those. I'm really a big fan of the Roth because I'd rather pay the piper now than later, because I think, as we know, taxes just get more and more. So you may have to move some money to a self-directed retirement. Most accountants won't normally let you do it directly, meaning there is some self-dealing rules when it comes to doing this that you've got to be very careful about, and something you can talk to your administrator, your self-directed administrator. Now, next thing we're going to talk about here is using your self-directed plus hard money. That's going to be my number 3. So you use some of your IRA. Maybe you've got $20,000 in your IRA and you get $80,000 from a hard money lender. You can use as much as you can from your retirement, make up the rest with hard money. It lowers your overall cost of funds and your ability to do deals. You may not get 100% financing on. You could do more deals potentially. Number 4 we're going to talk about here is seller financing. The idea with seller financing, this is where the seller becomes a lender. Rather than getting a new loan, the lender is the seller, and they use the equity that is in there to do the loan. So the seller would not get all their cash down, but they would get payments and cash out when they actually sell the property. So we can go and say, hey, Mr. Seller, I'll give you want $150,000. I think that's a fair price. I'll give you $125,000 now, but the extra $25,000 I am going to give you when I actually sell the property. So that's a way that you can put it together. Now, there are some hiccups when it comes to hard money lenders and what they are going to allow. So there's many different ways to do seller financing. If you want to combine hard money with seller financing, and that's what we talked about in that example, part of that's hard money, the other part is coming from seller financing. So say the seller wants $100,000, you can get a hard money loan, $90,000 to do the deal. The seller could take a note for $10,000 that you make payments to, and it depends on your exit strategy with this, but keep in mind they're going to have to be an unsecured. They're not going to be able to be secured to the property if you are getting a hard money loan. Item number 5 is called wholesaling. Okay, let's talk wholesaling. Wholesaling is you going out and finding a good deal. You lock up that deal with a contract, and then you sell that contract or assign that contract to somebody else. You could do a double close. You could do transactional funding where you take title and you close, and then they bring new funds. This is a great way to do deals with little to no cash whatsoever and be able to get that 100% financing. Number 6, we're going to talk about gap financing. Okay, gap financing, this is getting a company or an individual to cover the gap. Well, what's the gap? It's the difference between what you have and what you need. So let's say that your hard money lender is going to give you $90,000 and you need $100,000. You would go find an individual or a company that would be willing to give you the $10,000, and typically that's done as debt or it's done as equity. Debt means you're required to pay them back, you agree on an interest rate, and that's all they get. Equity means they get a percentage of the profits, and they may also get what's called a preferred return. So those are things to be looking at. Keep in mind, you could also be a gap funder for other people that have a deal but are short on cash. So this can be a way that you can do it. Keep in mind, there is risk in any type of investment. This is always combined with a hard money type of a loan. Number 7, get a partner. Get a partner using debt. So a deal partner, this is where you can find a partner that has good cash or good credit. They can sign that where they can actually get the loan, and then they could also use their good credit to get credit card finance and turn that into cash so they could bring that additional money. So there's a lot of ways to get a deal partner, right? The deal partner could come in and just sign on the deal and be a part of that. The deal partner could go and use their line of credit. They could use their 401k. They could use their good credit to get credit card financing and turn that into cash. Or they could also bring the money and be like a gap financer. But deal partners is a huge way to get little to no money down, get your 100% financing. They can use their credit to lower the overall project cost. Most hard money lenders are not credit specific, but they may price based upon credit, meaning the better your credit, the less you'll pay. The worse your credit, the more you'll pay. Well, bringing on somebody like this could help lower your overall costs. This can be used for 100% financing, especially if you combined it with hard money. This is great for your partner. They get a return and they don't have to do any work. They're just using their credit as an asset or putting any of their lazy money to work. And you'd be surprised how many people actually have lazy money. Lazy money means it ain't making you anything. And if it's sitting in the bank, it is lazy money. They are a lender and get set interest rates. So this is somebody, if we're doing that as debt, they're a lender, they get paid, or they get paid once the property is resold. Now, the other thing I want to talk about here is equity. So bringing on a partner with equity, well, like we talked about a little bit earlier, the same deal, same partner, rather than getting a set interest rate, they get a percentage of the deal's profit. So basically means, hey, I'm taking some downside risk, but I'm also getting some upside risk. Now, sometimes when these deals are structured, there is a situation where there's a preferred return, meaning the lender, the person that puts up the money is going to get maybe 8% of their money. And then there's going to be a split so that they get compensated for their money that's been working. Partner gets paid, but you take on less risk. This can be a combination of hard money and bringing somebody on that has that cash either. And the same thing, they could be getting that money from a variety of sources, many of which we have actually already talked about. Number 9, a formal business partner. Well, what's a formal business partner? Well, rather than bringing on a credit partner, rather than bringing on a debt partner, rather than bringing on an equity partner, what you actually do is you formalize a business partnership where you say, hey, you've got money, I've got time, I'll find the deals, you fund them, and you work with our hard money lenders, and you split that up into a formal partnership. They can turn their credit into cash rather than doing a deal by deal basis. You're setting this up for multiple deals. This is truly a business partnership, and this is typically used in some sort of hard money. Number 10, credit card finance. Most people don't realize this, but credit card financing, you can use your credit as an asset, and that credit can get you lines of credit with credit card companies, and you can typically get a 0% interest for the first year. Now, origination is one time, and the money can be used time and time again, and you do not need decent credit. You do need decent credit. You do not. You need decent credit, or you need to find somebody that has decent credit for credit card financing to actually work, and you want to combine that with a hard money loan. In most cases, you're going to need to. Now, number 11, renegotiate with the seller. This, if all else fails, this is a great way. You renegotiate with the seller, you get the purchase price down. Mr. Seller, I'm sorry, repairs are more than we thought. The market is different than we thought. The most I can pay for the property is this. My lender will only give me this much. Can we go ahead and move forward with that? And you'll have the deal done, and we'll have it done next week. That's the type of conversation you can have, and let them know what you can actually get and how it can work. Now, number 12, and probably the most impressive, is just using hard money alone. So with the hard money loan, you've got to potentially renegotiate so all of it fits within your hard money, which means you've got to get your purchase, your rehab, your closing costs, and your payments all have to fit in there, and that can be difficult where we're dealing with a really, really good deal, and it may just be a base hit deal. So this is the hardest to make happen because you've got to have that really, really good deal. These are the 12 ways to get 100% finance. little to no money down investing. And keep in mind, combinations of these 12 is typically how these are made, getting creative and doing them in a multiple and variety of different ways. Most of the time you can put 2 of them together, and sometimes you may have to put 3 together. And it all starts with finding a very, very good deal. That's where it all happens.